Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar tonight. We really appreciate you coming on today. My name is Jay Hansen. I am a financial educator at BECU in Washington State. And today I'm going to be talking to you tonight about better budgeting. And the whole goal that we're doing this webinar is for you to gain valuable financial tools that will help you for a lifetime. Now, when we hear the word budget, it's one of those words that it doesn't sit too well with us. When I hear the word budget, it kind of reminds me of diet, right? Diet. When you hear the word diet, what do you think of? You think of restraint. Like I think of when I go to Safeway and I'm walking down the aisle and I want to get my Tim's Cascade jalapeno chips, but unfortunately I can't get them because I'm on a diet. But the truth is a diet is very crucial to your physical health. And in the same way, a budget is so important to your financial health as well too. So again, we are extremely excited for you to be here. Now, again, I do work at BECU. A little history about BECU. We started in 1935 during the Great Depression, and it started with 18 Boeing employees. And those 18 Boeing employees brought together $9, right? Like $9 right today, that's, barely gets you into a movie, right? But back then, it was worth a lot. $9. What they did is they gave loans to fellow employees that kept them in business and helped them provide for their families. Now we fast forward about 78 years later. BECU is now the largest credit union in Washington State, fourth largest in the nation. And the biggest thing about credit unions is that they're not for profit. With banks, they're for-profit financial institutions. When the profits come in, they eventually go back to the shareholders. But with credit unions being a not-for-profit cooperative, profits come in, then they go back to our members. So that's a little bit about BECU. Now, about myself, that's me. I'm Jay Hansen, and again, I'm a financial educator at BECU. I've been with BECU for a little over 5 years now, and I love it. A little bit about my background. I actually graduated from Redmond High School back in 2000, so that gives away my age. I'm turning 31 this year. Wow. And then I went on to Bellevue College, got my BA in communications at the University of Washington. Now I'm currently in a master's program at Gonzaga studying organizational leadership. So that's a little bit about me. Some fun facts. I do have an identical twin brother. Yeah, he's a good-looking guy. Watch out. And what's funny is he actually works at BECU in Woodinville. So if you ever want to stop by, I know Cascadia is really close. You can go ahead and see him. His name's Ty. And another fun fact about me is I don't really like coffee, but I love chai tea lattes, which I'm drinking right now. So that's about me. Now, I have a question for you, just kicking it off today. How many of you have ever attended a webinar before? What I'm going to do, I'm going to launch this nifty poll here, and I'm sending that out to you right now. And what I would love for you to do is just go ahead and just fill out your answer there, and then we'll talk about it. Beautiful. Looks like everyone voted. I'm going to show you the results. Wow. So all of you, today is your first webinar. Give yourself a hand. We're excited that you're here. So that's great for me to know as a facilitator. And just to explain, webinars, they're essentially just online live seminars, right? And essentially like when you're in person, you're at a library, you're at an auditorium, you're in a classroom. Think of this online platform as a classroom where we're going to be able to connect. Now, I want to explain a little bit before we get into the presentation on the control panel, right? So all of you should see it on your right-hand side. And what this does is that this controls your audio and your question and answer, right? So when you log on, your audio will automatically go to mic and speakers. Now, let's say your computer or iPad, tablet device does not have mic and speakers automatically. All you have to do is click the telephone button, or if we lose you throughout, let's say, you just click the telephone button here, and what it will do is it will give you a number that you can call to access the recording. Now, next is the question and answer tab, and it will also say something like chat for you. And this is where you get to interact with me, and also my manager, Stacy Black, is on the line. And so what happens is once you open this up, it says type your question in. So you type your question in. Let's say, what are the best ways to keep track of my spending? Then you hit send, and then it gets sent to Stacy or myself, and we answer the question for you. So pretty cool. So what I want us to do, I want you to type your name in the box and send it just so that you can get used to the interaction. Great job. So easy as that. One, two, three. Excellent. All right, so who's ready for the presentation, right? Oh, and I apologize. There's one more thing that I did want to say. On your control panel, you can raise your hand too. So I'm going to ask questions, and when I say, like, hey, how many of you have done this before? And I want you to just go ahead and click that hand raise button if you have done it. So just to inform you, that's how we're going to do it. So better budgeting. Our agenda today. First, we're going to talk about the purpose of a spending plan. Why? Why, like we talked about the diet. Why diet? Why get into the spending plan? Why do all the work, right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about also setting financial goals and the importance of it. We're going to look at a case study about how to create a plan and make cutbacks. And then we'll go into some tips on managing your money. Now, notice it says question and answer at the very bottom there. Now, please know that throughout the webinar, if you do have questions, just toss them our way and we'll definitely be able to get those answers to you. The question that I want to pose is, where did that sock go? How many of you have ever asked this question before when you've done laundry? Go ahead, just hit the show of hands. Where did that sock go in the context of doing laundry? Great. Perfect. Almost all of you. Now, you know what happens. You have your laundry. You stick it in the washing machine, get some detergent in there. Let's say you have 10 socks, right? That you let it run, it gets done. You move it over to the dryer and you throw it in the dryer, and then and it gets done. And maybe you're the type of person who loves to get the clothes out when they're warm and fluffy and cuddle with them because that's you. Or maybe you're the other person who maybe you leave your clothes in there for a long time or you don't fold them. But let's say you eventually do fold them. How many do you have? How many socks? Started out with 10, maybe 9. One time I was teaching this class and one person said 6. I'm like, man, that's a bad day. Ouch. But bottom line is, where did that sock go? I'm asking myself that a lot. And in the same way, I think a lot of people are asking, where did my money go? Right? Maybe we get paid on a Friday, or maybe it's different for you. But let's say you get paid on a Friday and you look at your account online, or you call in and get your balance and you say, man, I have a lot of money. So all of a sudden you have a ladies' night out, or maybe you have a guy's night out. You go to Red Robin, aka Dirty Bird, you watch a movie, you pay this bill, you pay that bill, and then by next Wednesday you look at your account online and you say, where did my money go? Where did it go? Right? And so the whole purpose, the why of a spending plan, the purpose of a spending plan is to, 1, take control of your financial life, and 2, reach your financial goals. To take control of your financial life and to reach your financial goals. A goal is like this flag right here in golf. It's a target. Goals are so important because they're things that we want to achieve in life. Something that we want to achieve, right? Now, we have many different types of goals in life. We have relational goals, right? Like, for me, for years, I wanted to get married, and I actually just got married to my beautiful wife in July. And I'd hope that you'd be clapping. Sometimes I teach in class. I get maybe one person clapping, but I did, and it's great. That was a relational goal. Maybe it's a physical goal, maybe trying to lose 15 pounds or getting into the gym a couple times a week. We have different types of goals. And then there's financial goals. And a financial goal, all that is, it's a goal that you want to achieve that takes money to get there, right? A goal that you want to achieve that takes money to get there. Can you think of a financial goal that you have off the top of your head? Maybe it's a car. Maybe it's getting through school with little or no loans. Maybe it's getting a full-time job, a house, taking a trip. Maybe you're a musician and you want to get a new guitar, right? Anything that you want that takes money to get there. Now, when we talk about goals, it's so important to break them down into categories of short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. So, for instance, if I asked you, what's something that you want to achieve within the next 3 years? That's in the short-term category. How about in the next 3 to 5 years? How about in 25 years? What's something that you want to achieve? That could be school, car, a house, and retirement. Again, though, that's just an example. Also, with goals, it's so important to be specific. I know this is cheesy, but I want you to say it out loud. I can't hear you, so we're going on the honor system. I want you to say be specific on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Be specific, right? And I know probably two of you did it, so I want all of us to do it. 1, 2, 3. Be specific. That's so important. Meaning, how much will it cost? Next, set a time frame. When do you want it? And have accountability. How are you going to stay on track? Because the truth is, a lot of us can have motivation at the beginning, but it's when things get hard, how can we still find motivation and persevere? And a great example of setting achievable goals is, let's say, I was at Starbucks and we met and you said, "Oh, hey Jay, how's it going?" I'm like, "Oh, it's going pretty good." And you said, "Jay, what's your financial goal?" And I said, "You know what? My wife and I, we want to go on a trip to Europe." Who'd like to go to Europe? Probably a lot of people, right? Now that's a great goal. Now let's say 10 years later, you see me at the same Starbucks. "Oh my gosh, Jay, is that you?" "Yes, that's me." "Oh, how are you doing?" "Yeah, doing good." Hey Jay, how's that Europe trip going? Have you ever gone?" "Oh, the truth is I haven't gone to Europe yet. I still want to go. Kind of got busy with the kids and everything." 20 years later, you see me at that Starbucks. "Oh my gosh, Jay, you're here. How's that Europe trip?" "Unfortunately, I haven't gone yet." On my deathbed, Jay, are you there?" "Oh, I'm here. I'm here." "Jay, did you go to Europe?" "Man, I wish I could have gone to Europe." And my whole point is this. Let's say we were at Starbucks the very first time and you asked me, "Jay, what's your financial goal?" And I say, "You know what? By September 2016, my wife and I want to spend $6,000 on a Europe trip that goes to France, England, Spain, and Italy, right? And we want to see this place, and this place." We have a time frame, a deadline. We have a dollar amount. We have the countries that we are looking for, right? That's more of an achievable goal. So important for you. When you think about goals, make it achievable, whatever that is for you. So my question to you is this: what are your financial goals? So I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear one financial goal that you have. Could be short term, medium term, long term, right? And I'll share it. I won't share your name, but I'll definitely share the goal if that's okay. All right, looks like I have a couple. Great. Pay for college. Man, that's a lot of people, including myself. Like I told you, I'm in grad school. That's definitely something that I'm looking to do. Buy a piano. We do have a musician in the house. Yes. Now, even parking on that piano, I'd say, well, what kind of piano? How much are you looking to spend? When do you want to buy it? But that's an amazing goal right there. Thank you so much for sharing, everybody. We appreciate that. Okay, what I love here is reminders. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of the type of person who can forget things easily, right? We're all busy, we have things going on. So, what I recommend is write your goal down and place it somewhere you regularly see. It's so important to help us remember, and that could be on your phone, on your computer, like a screensaver. It could be, in your bathroom, just like this, right? But just someplace you regularly see, and this will help you remember and remember and remember and remember. This will help you stay on track, because the truth is when you do set a goal and things do get tough, when you are reminded about the purpose of why you're doing it, it makes it that much easier to step forward. So this is a case study. Now in life, when we meet with our friends, our family, coworkers, or school or fellow students, we don't really ask about finances. We talk about everything else but money. We'll say, "Oh, how's the family? How are the kids? Oh, how's that going? Oh, did you hear about the Sonics? Yeah, I'm sad too." We talk about all these things, but we don't say, "Hey, so how's your credit score going?" Or, how's your emergency fund going? Or are you paying your bills on time? And we just don't ask that. But the nice thing about Joe Member, everybody can say, "Hey, Joe." Joe says hello. "Hey, Joe." Joe's going to get very transparent with us about his financial situation. And from this, we're going to learn from his situation. We're going to give him advice. And hopefully that transfers over to your financial lives. Here we go. All right, so step one, where do we start in of creating a financial plan is this. It's first looking at your current financial situation and setting goals, right? Step one, current, what's going on right now with your financial situation and where do you want to go? So Joe's situation is this. I just started first quarter of college, living on my own, working part-time at the Gap, the GAP, and he says this: last month I barely made it financially. Somehow I overspent and used up all my savings. I'll say that last line. Last month I barely made it financially. Somehow I overspent and used up all my savings. Now, for me, when I read this, I am concerned that he barely made it financially. But the real concern for me is this: that word somehow. Because he says, somehow I overspent and used up all my savings, meaning he doesn't really know what happened with his money. Okay, so that's what I'm concerned with. That's his situation. Okay, now short term goals: he doesn't want to move back in with his parents. His target date as soon as possible, meaning he doesn't want that to happen. He wants to start saving $50 a month. When's his target date? As right now. Now, the thing about savings, what I want to touch on is this. A lot of people say, yeah, I want to save money. But it's so important to put a specific dollar amount and a frequency to it. So rather than saying, I just want to save money, I want to save $50 per month. That gives it a little more meat, a little more specific, as we talked about. Now, medium-term goals: he wants to start building his credit. So he wants to get a credit card, buy a newer car, and then for long-term, he wants to get a new condo in downtown Seattle, and he has a specific dollar amount. Now, if we were in person, if I were teaching this, I'd actually have you fill out the worksheet as well for you to do on your own. However, since you don't have that, we're just going to go through it. At the very end, I am going to be able to give you a worksheet if you want, right? And so by doing that, you can I'll give you my email address. You say, hey, Jay, can you send me the worksheet? And I'll send it to you. So that's step one. Step two, income and assets. The main thing with income is you always want to go off of the take-home pay, which is the net income. So if we look at the bottom of the screen, we can see Joe's situation. Again, he works at the GAP, the Gap. He makes $13 an hour, 25 hours a week. And then we do the calculation. Now his gross income is $1,300 per month. His net income is $1,105. His net income is significantly lower. And when we do our budgets, it's so important that you always go off of the net income. I remember when I would get new jobs and I think, oh man, I'm getting this much an hour, or this is what my salary is. Wow, this is how much money I'm going to be making. But I forgot to take out the taxes. So how do you remember gross income versus net income? Two ways. Some people say gross income is like you have gross income, then you take a net through it, and then whatever's left is net income because taxes are taken out and all that. But I like to say this: it's simple. Gross income is grossly bigger than net income, right? So always go off of your net income, which is your take-home pay. Joe, we can see here, it's $1,105 for him. Step three is looking at the basic monthly expenses, meaning what are the expenses that are going out every month? So for you, it could look very similar to this, or it could be different. This is just Joe's scenario. So he has rent, $600. That's really good. He has electricity, $50, groceries, $100, coffee, $100. Now, I just want to pause right there. Notice food, meaning groceries and coffee, are the same. Definitely a sign he's from Seattle. I mean, just totally there. Now, his gas cost per month, $150. Now, if we look at the auto insurance, $100, haircuts, $20, cell phone, $60, giving. Some people give to charitable organizations or local churches, $110.50, and eating out, right, is $140. So if we add all of this up, these are the basic monthly expenses, we can see that it's $1,430.50. I'm going to say that again, $1,430.50. Now, you may see this number and you may get a little red flag on the inside, meaning, whoa, that's a lot. When I look at this, I think, man, well, what's his monthly income? It's $1,105. So the red flag is this. Based on this, we can see every month he is spending more than he's making. That's definitely a problem. Oh, and a couple other goals came in. I apologize. I just wanted to share this to honor the people who wrote it in there. So my goal is to have zero debt within 15 years of graduating college. That is an amazing goal. Go for it. And next, buy a trip to LA. So definitely do that. It's sunny down there. I would love to go to LA and get some good food. Thank you for answering the questions. Okay, so bringing it back to the plan. Step 3 is basic monthly expenses. Step 4 are the expenses that happen periodically, once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, but not every month. So my manager, Stacy Black, and I, we believe this is the number one reason why people fail their budgets. How many of you have actually tried to budget before and then failed at your budget, meaning you didn't stay within your budget? Probably a lot. For me, that's happened before. And I think the biggest reason is this: the periodic expenses are not accounted for. With Joe, we have the periodic expenses of renewing the car tabs every year in April, oil changes in January, April, July, and October. Then we have gifts. We have 50 in May, 50 in September, but then we have 100 in December. Now, 100 obviously is because of the holidays, and there's just some really big sales. I don't know if you've ever been to the mall during the holidays and you're trying to buy you're supposed to buy a present for someone else, and you see this huge deal and you're in conflict, like, wow, this is a great deal. Probably shouldn't be buying it for myself, but anyways, gifts and clothes, right? So he has 120 allocated in January and 120 in July. So what happens is we write out all of our expenses throughout the whole year. Yours could be around this much, or it could be thousands of dollars. Could be golf, could be all these other things, right? You add it all up. For him, it's $600. Then we divide it by 12. That means he should be saving $50 a month for periodic expenses. So as he's saving, when these expenses come up, you know what? I don't need to use a credit card. I don't need to use anything else. I have a savings account already in place for this. Or step 5, debt. So Joe doesn't have any debt. However, I do realize that a lot of us do, and it's a hot topic, a big and important, crucial topic in America that we need to discuss. So I do have a building credit / debt management slide at the very end, which will talk about that. And if you do have credit questions or debt questions, feel free to write them in, and Stacy and I, again, will be here to answer that for you. Step 6, spending worksheet. This is big. This is the big picture overview, like a bird's eye view of his financial plan. Number 1, we take his net monthly income, 1105. We subtract the basic monthly expenses from that, $1,430.50. And now we can see, just based on that alone, he's negative $325.50 per month. That's why he barely made it financially, right? Because again, he is spending more than he's making, and we know the specific amount. From there, we want to take away the periodic expenses, again, the expenses that happen irregularly throughout the year. Now he's negative $375.50, and if he had debt, wow, he'd even be more negative. Now, pop quiz, how much was his savings goal per month? $50, right? You probably thought of $50. So that's really like negative $425.50. Now, I don't know how you would feel about this, but how do you think Joe's feeling after finding out this? He's not too happy, right? He's not too happy, but Joe, the truth hurts, and this can really liberate you from knowing this. In order to make true transformation, there needs to be true honesty, and that's where he's at right now. But he sees us, and he's happy. He says, can you help me make some cutbacks? So in order to solve his financial problem, he could either get another job to support all the expenses he has, or he could make cutbacks, right? And with him being in school, cutbacks seems like the best choice. Okay, so he's asking not just me, not just Stacy, but he's asking all of you for help. Now, when we make cutbacks, cutting back on expenses, it's so important to focus on goals. If I'm cutting things out just based on, oh, I just need to cut it out, then it's not as motivating. But if I know, hey, I'm cutting this out because I want to get out of debt in 5 years, or I'm cutting this out because I want to get that baby grand piano, that will really help in make the cutbacks a lot easier. Next, be flexible. There's some times where, like, you know what, I've always done it this way, so I've got to keep it this way. I think it's always important to be open about your finances, to see, hey, is there anything we can do differently? And that ties in with being creative in your cutback. So think outside the box. Lastly, it's always good to cut back, not out. Unless it's extremely detrimental to your health, cutting back is better because we're all about the long-term growth, right? If somebody's had coffee every single day for the last 30 years, probably my mom, I'm thinking about her. For me to say, hey, don't have coffee ever again is not realistic. It's always good to cut back rather than out. And I just want to say, I hope you're doing great. I can't see you, but I'm sure you're doing great. We're going to revisit the step 3 portion of Joe. Basic monthly expenses. What are the expenses that are going out every month, and how can we make some cutbacks? We're going to go line by line. First, we're going to start with rent, and then we're going to go down the line. So what I want to ask you is this. How can we cut down on rent? How can Joe cut this down? I know that $600 is a lot, but I think it's important, right? So go ahead, and I want you to type in one of your suggestions to say, hey, Joe, in order to cut down on that price, I think you could do this, or I think you should do this. And I'll give you about a minute to do that. Perfect. And I saw the answer. Get roommates. How many of you have had roommates before? Hopefully good ones. The great thing about a roommate is you have somebody move in. Maybe you're sharing some space. Maybe someone's on the couch. Maybe you're sharing a room. But again, he's in an emergency situation where he doesn't want to move back in with his parents. He wants to stay independent. This is the way he can make it happen. Now, obviously, with roommates, you want to make sure the level of cleanliness, even personality types can match up, right? It can be a growing experience. You know, when I ask this question a lot, how do you cut down on rent? A lot of people say, well, why don't you just find a cheaper place? First, $600 is pretty good. But next, in order to get a new place, a lot of places will say we need first and last month's rent up front and a security deposit. Now, remember, Joe can't do that right now. How about utilities? How about electricity? What are some ways that Joe can cut that down, that price down? Anything that you can share, some tips? And I'll give you about a minute to do that as well too. Love to hear from you. Wow, someone just wow, took it all here. This is great. Unplug when not in use. So unplug things, right? Appliances and electronics. Turn off the lights. Lower the brightness on phone. That's great. Wow, to reduce charging times. Charge phone in public places. So that's really great. Those are all great things. How about groceries? From your experience, because all of us we have different knowledge, right? With this, how would you tell? What would you say to Joe to say, hey, Joe, I think you could do this to cut down on your grocery prices? Really appreciate the feedback. You guys are doing excellent. Coupons. Coupons are a great option to find a better deal on the things that you're looking for. One thing though, it's really important that to know that sometimes coupons can actually be more negative. There was actually studies done years ago that found that people who actually use coupons actually spent more than people who didn't have them because what they did is they found, oh man, this is on sale, this is on sale, I can get this, and they get things that they weren't needing. But coupons are a great resource if you do have that self-control. Excellent. Thank you for that idea. Somebody says buy non-perishable items and buy in bulk. I remember I found myself, I want to buy fresh food and all these things, and sometimes they go bad. So, always making sure to buy the non-perishable items as well, and buying in bulk, that will be a better price for you for that. So there's this phrase that they always say: don't go shopping when you can say it out loud, hungry, right? Don't go shopping when you're hungry. Why? Because everything looks good when you're hungry. All of a sudden, I'm walking by a cereal, and I want some Fruit Loops, and I don't even like Fruit Loops, right? But I'm hungry. So I would say that to Joe. But the truth is that you and I, we will go shopping when we're hungry in life. It's always important to go shopping with you probably said it, a list. That's right. A list will help you stay in control and stick to that list. And I would also tell Joe, it's so important to understand how grocery stores are designed. You walk in, through the automatic doors. They have the lights, the music. It's inviting. And all of a sudden, if you just want to get some basic food, like your food items, like your dairy, produce, bread, where's that located? Right? We all know it's located on the perimeter, on the outside. Now, what do I have to do? I have to walk through the valley of Tim's Cascade jalapeno chips and Skittles, some of my favorite things. And it's buy three, get one for free. It's my day. Now I'm buying more than I need. So it's important to understand how it's designed as well. Some great places to buy if you're on a budget: Winco, Grocery Outlet Bargain Market. Grocery Outlet Bargain Market. I was trying to warm up the voice earlier. It obviously didn't work. But those are some ways. Now, coffee, right? Or in New York, we say coffee. How can Joe cut down on the coffee cost? I would love to hear from you. Type in your suggestion, your tip, and I'll be able to hear from you on that. That'd be great. All right, thank you for your suggestions. Someone says make it at home. Definitely, he would be saving so much money if he just invested in an affordable coffee pot with some Folgers, whatever, and he made it at home. He would be saving a lot of money. Oh, I have another one. Yeah, make your own coffee. Coffee maker, coffee ground saves a lot. Buy smaller cups of coffee, simpler orders, and bring your own cup into Starbucks because you get a discount. That's great. So I love this idea because maybe you've been a barista before. Maybe you know someone who's been a barista, and they can probably tell you this, that there's people who come in to Starbucks or wherever that coffee shop is once a day, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, and they're spending like $6 a pop, right? And it's not just for the coffee. It's a therapeutic experience. It's a place where they can escape, and that's it, right? So for me to say only have it at home, that's tricky. So what I would say is make it at home, and then give yourself maybe a Starbucks Fridays. And then rather than getting that venti macchiato, like this one person said here, get a small drip and add some cinnamon and some sugar and make it yourself or something like that. And I love the tough love here on a comment. It said 100 a month is ridiculous. Stop it. And then exclamation point. We all need a friend like that to tell us the truth. Bottom line, there is room for him to cut down on that. Thank you so much for your feedback. I'm taking note. Even though I don't drink coffee, I'm a chai tea latte kind of guy, as we learned at the beginning. All right, how about car gas? How can we cut that price down? $150 a month. Now I know gas prices, they fluctuate up and down, especially over the last 5 years. Gone up really high and more medium prices. But what are some ways to cut down on that? I love it. Thank you for the feedback. Combined trips, take the bus. Definitely. Combining trips are huge. Rather than I'm going to school, then I'm going home. It's like, go to school, then maybe go to the store, go to get gas, do this thing, and just combining, rather than having multiple trips, simplify it. And public transportation is always great. Some employers and even schools have discounts with buses and things like that, Orca cards. And there's other suggestions on top of that. Walk, especially summertime. We have beautiful summers in Seattle. Bike, get your gas at grocery stores. You can have gas points. Those are definitely great. And even you can look, there's apps online or even on your phone where you can look and find the cheapest gas price near a certain zip code. So if you're really tight, that would be good to look that up. So thank you again. Auto insurance. I mean, with that, you can't really do too much other than just calling around to other auto insurance companies and seeing if you can get a better rate for your insurance. Also, there's a good student discount, and your credit is very influential in this. We're going to talk about credit later, but credit is huge. So those are the few things that you can do. Cutting hair. So obviously, $20. He is a man. I know women's haircuts can definitely cost a lot more, but there's beauty salons. Maybe friends can cut your hair, and maybe even yourself. I know a lot of people who cut their own hair, right? And it actually looks surprisingly good. So there's definitely ways that he can cut down on hair. Right? So how about cell phones? What are some ways to cut down on cell phones, right? That's $60. I would love to hear your thoughts on that to give to Joe, right? And to tell all of us here. What are some ways we can cut that price down? Thank you for the feedback. Really appreciate it. Love the interaction. So I hear track phone is $7 a month! Exclamation point. Wow, I've never heard of that. I'm going to do some research. That is huge. Thank you for that suggestion. That's great. So get a cheaper phone. Don't pay for extra minutes. That's great. And I think there's even, that thought of, do I need a data plan, right? Or do I want it? Now, and I think maybe in 5 to 10 years, that's definitely going to become a need. And depending on the type of industry you work in, the smartphone You may need it, but that's definitely something to ask. Appreciate it. Pay as you go phone. Yes, I love it. Prepaid minutes, text less, talk less. I got you. Don't need the 4G. Exactly. Most places have Wi-Fi. Wow. I'm very impressed with these answers tonight. That's great. Giving to people, they can, rather than giving money, they can volunteer. There's great places out there, Tent City, Hope Link, all these other places, Housing Hope, working with nonprofits, volunteering just your time, energy, and skills. Now, eating out, this is a big one, right? He's spending $140 a month on eating out. Now, I remember being at college during my undergrad, and man, my life was so busy. Making food at home was the last thing on my mind. But how can we cut down on eating out, right? Because I remember being a college student, I would eat out all the time. I'd have Subway, teriyaki, McDonald's, all these things because it was convenient. All right, so I would love to get your thoughts on what are some ways to cut down that price on eating out. Thank you. I love this. I love this. Picnics for dates, especially this is the season. Dollar meals, find places with student discounts. It's huge. And I'd even add on top of that happy hours. You can find different places. Now, picnic for dates, I just want to share just for 10 seconds. I actually proposed to my wife a year and a half ago on a picnic, right? It was our first picnic. I took her to Bellevue Park, favorite color, favorite food, and asked her right there. Stuck the ring in it was an ice cream box, her favorite ice cream, and not with the ice cream, but stuck it in there and surprised her. Anyways, so just wanted to share that. That's really cool. And somebody else wrote, don't buy a large meal with drinks and chips. So maybe get a smaller meal. Oh, I love this. I love this thought here. Eating out becomes a treat. It's like a bonus. So make food ahead of time at home for convenience. And I think after teaching this class for some time, I found that the biggest thing, what people say, is planning and sticking to it. Right? Beautiful. I really appreciate your thoughts on that. So we gave him all the suggestions for the monthly expenses. This is what happened. If you want to look now at the very bottom on the right side, this 1,430 was what it was before, but then after we made the changes, it's a 1,070. We cut down a lot, but what I want to show you is this. We also added, if you want to look on the top left now, a savings account, and he's going to deposit that money into the savings account every month for $50, right? So we added that as an expense. And that's the key to savings. Make it an expense. Make it a bill. Don't make it be something that you can adjust. But no, it's something that I'm fixed. It's a fixed expense, right? And next, we have a flex fund for $40. So with the flex fund, this is free money. I don't know about you, but I love wiggle room. I like to have a little bit of wiggle room with my finances. So the flex fund is free money. He can do whatever he wants to do with that. So that's the situation there. Now, periodic expenses. There's only two that we're going to go over. We have gifts and clothes. So gifts, by show of hands, there is that raising the hand icon. I want you to raise your hand if you've ever made a gift before for someone else. Awesome. That's more than 50%. And making gifts, whether it be baked goods or a scarf or something like that, it sends a message of thoughtfulness, right? And a lot of times it's much cheaper, much more affordable for us to do that, right? So that's what I tell Joe. I'd say, hey Joe, rather than always having to get that $100 scarf, maybe get something else. Maybe make a card. Maybe use your skills and say, hey, I can mow your lawn or I could do this. In clothes. Now, when is the best time to buy clothes, right? Out of season. So if I said, when's the best time to buy summer clothes? Maybe during fall. When is the best time to buy winter clothes, right? Right around springtime, right about now, right? So it's out of season. But we're thinking ahead. We're planning ahead. Love it. Okay, so this is what it was before. It was $600 for the periodic expenses every year. Again, we're accounting for every expense. That means it was $50 a month. After the adjustment, $420 a year down to $35 a month. So not a whole lot per month, only $15, but that $15 can go a long way. All right, so again, the spending worksheet. We're coming back to the bird's eye view on his financial plan. Before he was negative $375.50. Now this. Okay, so the adjusted is in the red. It's on the right-hand side. So we go, and income stayed the same, 1105. We subtract the basic monthly expenses of 1070, and then we have $35 left. Now, from that, we have to take away the $35 for the periodic expenses, and we have zero left. So again, after we do everything, we have $0 left. Now, my question to you is this: is the zero good or bad? Let's take a poll. All right. So not everyone voted, but we got 60% of the votes in there. And some people think it's good. Some people think it's bad. I want to actually share why I think it's good. My old mentality was this: you know what? This zero means it's bad because I always need a little bit extra left over to spend on whatever I want to spend on. But the zero is good here because it means we've accounted for every single penny here. Okay? Every single penny has been accounted for. Again, we're taking our money, our income, and we're telling it where to go. Now, let's say you do this at home and you have $100 left right here. Go ahead and stick that somewhere. Add more savings. If you're a snowboarder, maybe throw it into the snowboarding category. But tell your money where to go. Be specific, right? Again, this zero means we've accounted for every single penny. Joe says, thanks everybody for the help. Appreciates everything there. Okay, money management tips. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to run through this pretty quickly with you. Okay, so money and relationships are extremely important. There's three things that are important here that they all tie together, but yeah, they're great keys. So number one, the relationship, each person should value each other. Each person should have a voice. Regardless if one person's better at money than the other, there should be an equal level of value in each other's voice, right? Each person should have an opinion. And next, that ties to understanding each other. So good communication is listening and sharing, right? So listening is important, and it's not about just listening. Okay, I'm listening, and now I want to say my point. It's I'm listening to understand. Next, making good decisions together. So set goals together, make adjustments together. If I'm saying to my wife, if I say, you know what, this month's going to be kind of tight, I'm going to keep golfing, but you have to cut out bingo, she's probably not going to be happy, and I may be sleeping on the couch. Well, probably not, but you get the point, right? Okay, so spending journal, in order to figure out your spending patterns, right, and to gain clarity on them, just keep track of where your money goes for that month. Whether it be the old school way of taking a check register and writing every expense down, or using the modern day apps like mint.com, it allows you to see your spending patterns. I recommend everyone do it. Next, grandma says save for a blank day, rainy day. So it's an emergency fund, and I'm actually just gonna go to the next slide. There we go. So for an emergency fund, set a specific goal. Don't just say I want to have money for an emergency. Say I want to save up, have a $500 emergency fund or a $1,000 emergency fund. Right? You can nickname accounts online at BECU, and it'll help you reach it. And don't touch the money in the savings account unless you need it. Okay, now this is the important part that I wanted to talk about. Good credit takes time to build, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. Your credit is not instant. It takes a little bit longer, but through over a 6-month period to 1-month period, or 1-year period, excuse me, you can build it up. Then over 2 years, you can really get a good score. Make your payments on time. 35% of your credit score is your payment history. So it really helps to have good payment history. And use your credit card responsibly. Start small, then expand, meaning don't get a lot of cards at the beginning. Just get one, and then make sure that you can handle that one. And then next, be careful of credit card offers in the mail, because sometimes there could be really high interest rates. And if you don't want it, cut it up, then throw it away. Don't just throw it away. Cut it up first, because there's actually people out there who go through trash cans looking for those offers. I do have a question for you. How many of you have seen your credit report before? Okay, so it looks like 67% of you have not seen it, 33% have. And I just want to say it's so important to check your credit report, because there's a lot of information on there and you want to make sure that it's accurate. There was a study that found, I don't know the exact percent, but it was around 8% of credit reports have errors on them, and you want to make sure that they're all correct and that there's no fraudulent activity. Where do you go? Go to annualcreditreport.com because it's free. BECU, we recommend our members in the community go there because it's free. Don't go to freecreditreport.com, though they have cool jingles that makes you want to dance. It's not free. It's actually a credit monitoring service that you have to sign up for. So BECU, we offer other seminars. You can go to www.becu.org/seminars and find them. Today we talked about the purpose of a spending plan, setting financial goals, looking at the case study with our friend, our man Joe member, and then we looked over some money management tips. Though we didn't get through all of them, we went through a few key ones there. If you do have questions, feel free to email me, justin.hansen@becu.org. And if you want an electronic copy of the Better Budgeting handout that actually has all of the steps, it's just in a Word document that you can print out or even fill out on your computer. I would be happy to send it to you. You can email me tonight or tomorrow, and I'll get it back to you get it to you by the end of the week. So thank you all so much for attending. We really appreciate you coming here, and we hope that you gain some awesome skills that will help you in your financial life. Thank you so much. And again, we will be here for just a few minutes to answer questions. But if you do have questions, feel free to email me, and I will definitely be able to respond to you. Thank you so much.